My name is Jesse Valdez, and I want to tell you about my friend, my brother, and my partner, Brandon. I started working with Brandon approximately 20 years ago. We were both assigned to the Special Investigations Division of the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. We were both undercover detectives running around Johnson County, making cases on drug users and drug dealers in our community. When we were in that position, we obviously needed to look the part. So that included growing our hair out. We had to buy chain wallets, and we had to wear Pantera t-shirts. We were busy during that time in the late 90s. We were running, we were hustling. And, working with Brandon, I'd never met a foreigner before, meaning I never met anybody from Oklahoma. Immediately, Brandon and I had a lot in common. We talked sports, and specifically OU sports. We talked about Billy Sims, J.C. Watts, the Boz, Ryan Miner, Blake Griffin, and others like Mookie Blaylock, and just so many more legends in Oklahoma that I feel like, even though I went to KU, I feel like I graduated from OU. One of my favorite stories about Brandon was Leroy Selman. I had the opportunity to meet him in 2010. And I called Brandon up because I knew he was such an OU honk. So I told him that where we were going to be, we were at Arrowhead Stadium, and I told him to buy some tickets and attend the game. And I could tell he was excited, and he ended up bringing Travis and Kyle, and I think he brought Petchnick too. And Leroy, if you don't know him, he was a star in the state of Oklahoma as well as the University of Oklahoma. And he's one of the few people that are in both the College Football Hall of Fame and the National Football League Hall of Fame. So Brandon came up, and you know what he's got. He's got his little red Oklahoma football helmet and a silver pen. And I didn't really know how to approach Leroy Selman about it. But what I did is I just told him, hey, listen to me for 1 minute. I got a coworker here who loves him some Oklahoma football, and if you could sign his helmet, I'd be so grateful, and he would be too. And Leroy, the person that he was, said, no problem, man. Where's he at? So Brandon came up, and we were sitting in just regular seats and watching the game, and I just saw his face light up when he introduced himself to Leroy. And it just brought a smile to my face that I could let him have that moment with one of his stars. Besides sports, we also listened and tried to decipher rap music lyrics so we could communicate with each other. And when we call each other on the phone, and we'd share those music lyrics, when we call each other up and things like that. We loved live rock and roll shows and went to many of them. And we also talked about our families. Everybody knows that if you know Brandon, he was crazy. He was always joking, answering the phone with what's up or yo. And but he could talk to anybody, make everybody feel comfortable. Criminals, as well as other law enforcement, he could kind of take that wall down and make people feel relaxed. Our unit at the time in the late 90s at the sheriff's office consisted of some really special people. We had Kerry Chadwick, Jack Buddha Loftus, Mike Ratboy McGee, Mark Rock Rokusik, Mel Yoda Soper, R.I.P. Mel. Mark Ray Hartman, R.I.P. Mark. Mike Ronig, Cowboy Bob Miller, R.I.P. Cowboy. And Vinny Workowicz. By the way, Brandon came up with half of those nicknames. Back then in the late 90s, early 2000s, Johnson County was our playground. Our unit made a significant impact on the narcotic scene of Johnson County, Kansas, which is our community, and we were proud of that. We would take our reports and evidence and meet with the DA's office, and with our reports and strong prosecutors, we sent a lot of people to prison. Also in the late 90s, we found other agencies around the Johnson County area doing the same thing we were doing. Olathe, Overland Park, Shawnee, Prairie Village, Lenexa, DEA, FBI. We all worked together and made incredibly strong friendships that will last a lifetime. The camaraderie back then and even now is just incredible and amazing, and I've spoken to many that I've seen in this past week, and many people have reached out to me, and I appreciate that. But kind of good things don't always last, and in 2000 I went to patrol, but Brandon got to stay in SID, and he continued to hustle. But then in 2003 we were reunited at the DEA, the task force. He was in Group 41, which is the major investigations group, and I was in Group 43, which was the Klan lab group. Group 41 got to work wiretaps in the air conditioning, made large drug seizures of cocaine and marijuana and other illegal drugs, while Group 43 drove around in a Klan lab truck cleaning up hazardous meth labs from Kansas City, working with chemicals like red phosphorus, black iodine, and all that other stuff that nobody wants to do. But Group 43, we did that. And when we went to DEA, we worked with a lot of great law enforcement officers, just like we had in Johnson County. We worked with men and women from KCK, KCMO, Olathe, Overland Park, Belton, Independence, Missouri, KBI, ICE, and of course, we worked with DEA and FBI hand in hand. At the federal level, the cases were bigger, they were more complex, and had more potential for danger. Brandon loved his work as it took him all over Kansas City, the metro area, and the region. Like Johnson County, we worked with incredible AUSAs from both the Kansas side and the Missouri side. And again, we sent significant targets to prison and jail. At DEA, we made incredibly, again, strong friendships that will last forever. And again, many of those people I've seen here, if not today, I've seen here this week. They've called and they've checked in with me. But again, just like in late 2000s, in 2007, Brandon and I got broken up again. I went to director patrol, and Brandon went to court services. I had many conversations with Brandon. He kind of felt like he had peaked in his undercover years. But I told him that he needed to reinvent himself and just commit himself to the duties and the jobs of court services. I know from talking to people that work in the courthouses, the courthouse and surrounding buildings, that they loved Brandon and loved his humor, loved talking to him. And they just knew that he was a special person as well. So as we were talking and he decided to put in for patrol in around 2010, I told him one of the things that would always get me jammed up during training, when you had to make that transition from long hair, earrings, and sweatbands and cool clothes to a uniform and more respectable comments, that I told him I used to always get dinged on training when I would come up to a window and say to the driver, I'd say, "Hey, how's it going? You know why I stopped you?" And I always get dinged by my training officer. So I told Brandon, just follow the script and everything will work out. A good afternoon, good evening. I'm Deputy Valdez, Johnson County Sheriff's Office. The reason that I stopped you is because Brandon didn't know if he could do that. But obviously he did, because he spent almost 6-7 years there. The events on Sunday the 11th, he was hustling. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't hiding on a newly poured residential street in southern Johnson County that didn't have any houses around it. He wasn't parked at a dark dead end that didn't have any lights. He was hustling and he was fighting crime to keep, again, our community safe, the community that he lived in. Tracy, Ashley, and Lily, I'm so sorry that we have to be here for this, but I want you to know that the men and women that are wearing uniforms today all around this church are thinking of you and are saying prayers for you. I know what you're thinking. Man, that guy's ugly when he cries. Bill, Levon, Jana, Tracy, Travis, Lindsay, Kyle, Dale, Judy, Cody, thank you for allowing me to spend this week with you. And I'm so sorry to all of you as well. But I just want you to know I needed you as much as you needed me.
That was Master Deputy Jesse Valdez, friend, longtime friend. Master Deputy Brandon Collins. The song playing now is Say Hello to Heaven by Temple of the Dog. The repeated line is Say Hello to Heaven.
Take me from this place.
You know, as we listen to this, if you're familiar with music from the 90s, you can hear that theme that Officer Valdez had talked about. This song was released in 1991 and definitely has that feel of a 90s song. It ends, the last line, you can listen for it in this last stanza. There's just one thing left to be said. Say hello to heaven. In the meantime, I want to give you a quick mention of the Memorial Fund. You can give to the family by going to any of the Main Street credit unions there in the area.
With the pages of friends, there's all the things we never do. So I blow out the candle and I'll put you to bed. Since you can't say to me now how the dog broke your bone, there's just one thing left to be said. Say hello to heaven, yeah. Say hello to heaven, yeah. Say hello to heaven, yeah.
Again, this song